Hello, Julie here and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be sharing a layout with you that has a photo of my husband and I with our granddaughter when we took her to a milkshake place here in Adelaide to celebrate her 12th birthday. I'm using a piece of white cardstock that's 300 GSM. It's a plain smooth cardstock. I'm using this Craft stencil. It's one of those 4-in-1 and it's called Love Quarters. And the paper I'm using is also a Craft and it's from the Lush collection. So that's a very old collection of papers. I'm going to start with some Montmartre modelling paste and my palette knife and put that through the hearts quarter of the stencil and just sort of coming down from the left side, sort of diagonally across the page, and just a little bit in the top right hand corner. Once I've got that texture paste or modelling paste applied to my page, I set that aside to dry. I don't usually use a heat gun to dry my things. I prefer to let them just dry normally. I'm going to use this ink pad and my new blending brush. I've just bought this set of brushes recently. The ink, I'm not sure what brand it is. I think it's Craft, but there's no brand on it. I think once you tear the packaging off it's gone, so I don't know the name or the brand of that one. But the next one I'll be using is a Versacolor turquoise. So I'm just applying this so that I've got a light shading of colour down both sides of the page. One side will be this apricot colour and the other side will be the turquoisey colour. Using the brushes, it takes a while to build the colour up, but I was looking for a nice soft colour, so it worked quite well. I'm using this piece of scrap paper to put my hand on to hold the paper steady, because I always find that I end up putting fingerprints where I don't want them, so by using the piece of paper under my hand it stops me getting all of those marks on there that I don't really want. I now start work on my photo. I've used an emery board and I've filed around the edge of the photo, giving it that nice white border, and I'm going to mat that on black. I'm going to attach it to the black mat just using double-sided tape. I'm going to use this Craft Child's Play stamp. The circular stamp that I'm going to use was a full complete stamp, but I've cut it up so that I get like 3 or 4 stamps out of the one, so I can make different areas, or I can stamp bits and pieces, just the bits I want. So I'm going to use my StazOn ink and I'm going to stamp those circles randomly down the right hand side and a little bit up on the top left corner. Because I've got the texture paste on the page, I find that I don't get a complete stamp when I use a block. So I use the block to start with and then I take the stamp off of the block and use it by hand to try and fill in the gaps. It all works out okay in the end. I've gone ahead and cut my pattern papers. So this first one is 3 inches by 6 inches. That's the turquoise piece. The spotty piece is 6.5 inches by 5.5 inches. The apricot strip is 2 inches by 9 inches. The various strips that I've got here are 1/2 inch wide by just however long they happen to be in the leftover piece, because I'll decide how long I want them to be when I actually get around to putting them in position. This turquoise piece is 2 3/4 by 7/8 of an inch. This black piece I don't end up using. I get another piece of black and I cut that to 1 1/4 by 3 1/4 inches. Now I'm just going to have a play around and see where I want to position my papers. I decide to add a piece of the spot to the layer on the left hand edge of the layout, so I cut a piece that's 1.5 inches by 4 inches, I think, and this is where I decide to change my mind about the size of the black, so I cut that and the apricot one down to suit. I then cut fishtails in all 3 layers. No, I don't cut the fishtails, I'll do that later on. Off camera I have inked the edge of all of my papers using a Kaisercraft black ink pad, and I have attached the double-sided tape to the back of my papers. I'm now going to attach them to my layout. I'm basically going to follow the pattern that I had worked out in the last section. Here I'm humming and hawing about where to place this little embellishment. I can't decide whether to have it on the left or the right hand side of the layout. I end up leaving this overnight and come back to it the next morning. I want a bit more happening in the background, so I use my Glimmer Mist Black Magic and just splatter a few black spots here and there in the background. I don't want it too heavy, just a little bit of something in there. I've decided to put my cluster on the left, and I have cut the fishtails into all of the layers and attach them on top of each other, and now I'm just going to attach them onto my page. I thought I'd use some washi tape on this layout. I've got heaps of washi tape and never think to get it out, so I thought, right, today's the day. So I'm going to use this one with chevrons on it. I'm going to cut the pointy end of the chevron and use that as an arrow, I guess, and just attach that in a couple of places on my layout. I think I'm going to actually use 5 strips of it. A couple of places have got 2 strips and one place has only got 1. So I'm going to do that with this chevron washi tape, and then I'm going to use some glitter washi tape and attach that on top of the chevron washi tape. The glitter washi tape is black and apricot. To add a little more detail to the layout, I'm using this clear stamp set. I'm using the row of hearts. I'm going to just stamp that around my page. Once again, the texture paste in the background got me on one of the stamps, but it worked out okay in the end, so now I just stamp randomly around the layout with this row of hearts, and I use my black Stays On ink once again. So this is where the stamping did not go that well, but I originally only wanted like a short row of hearts here, but because I got that shadow stamping of the hearts out to the end there, I decided I have to blacken it up and stamp over the top, and you will see that I didn't get exactly over the top of it, but well, that's life. I still wanted a little bit more of something in the background, so I hunted around and I found that I had these sequins which were fairly close to the colour of the ink that I had brushed onto the background. So I used my Aileen's Original Tacky Glue and my pickup tool and just placed a few of these sequins on my layout. I didn't overdo it, I didn't want them everywhere, just a few. To create my title, I printed out on a piece of the spotty pattern paper what I wanted to say, and I inked around that and then attached that to a piece of black cardstock. I originally used double-sided tape to do that, but I didn't get it on straight, so in the process of remedying that I tore the paper, so I decided to use the glue to attach it because that way I get a bit of wriggle room. Once I had that constructed, I mounted that onto a piece of cardboard using the glue and then attached it to the layout as it is. That way I get a bit of height with the title. I find that the title does not sink down in the middle too when you use cardboard. And that completes my layout for today. I hope you've enjoyed watching my video, and if you would like to leave me a comment, I love reading them, and if you'd like to share my video, I would appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and click the bell next to the subscribe button to be notified when I upload each video. Thank you.